before the headlines, before the trial, before the questions no one could answer. There were signs, not obvious, not loud, but present, moments, patterns, small shifts that pointed towards something building beneath the surface. And like most patterns, they went unnoticed until it was too late. Welcome to Mysterious Encounters. Tonight, we examine Aaron Hernandez, not just as an athlete, not just as a story, but as a pattern, a sequence of events that didn't begin at the end, but long before anyone was watching. He had everything: talent, opportunity, momentum. From a young age, Aaron Hernandez stood out: fast, powerful, precise, the kind of player systems are built around. Success came early, recognition followed, and with it, expectation. But patterns don't begin with success, they begin before it. In environments, in influences, in the things that shape behavior, long before the world takes notice, because what looks like a sudden rise is often built on something deeper, something unseen. At some point, something changed, not in a single moment, but gradually. Subtle shifts in behavior, decisions that didn't align, reactions that felt off, but were easy to overlook, because success creates blind spots when everything appears to be working. People stop looking deeper, but patterns don't stop just because they're ignored. They continue quietly building, reinforcing themselves, the same types of choices, the same environments, the same influences, until the pattern becomes stronger than the path forward. And once that happens, the outcome begins to narrow. From the outside, it looks sudden: a fall, a breaking point, a moment that changed everything. But patterns rarely collapse instantly. They reach a point where they can no longer sustain themselves, where the pressure meets the structure that built it. And when that happens, the outcome feels inevitable, not because it had to happen, but because nothing interrupted it. No deviation, no disruption, no awareness strong enough to break the sequence. And once the pattern completes itself, the result appears, as if it came out of nowhere, but it didn't. It was forming the entire time. This is where the question shifts, because this is not just about one person. It's about the system around them, the environments, the expectations, the pressures that shape behavior without appearing to, because patterns don't exist in isolation. They are supported, reinforced, allowed to continue until they become the default. And once something becomes the default, it no longer feels like a choice. It feels like a path, one that's already been laid out, one that's easy to follow, even when it leads somewhere destructive. So the question is not what happened, the question is, when did the pattern begin? Because once you trace it back, you start to see the sequence, the repetition, the alignment of events that led to the same direction. Again and again and again, not identical moments, but connected ones, each reinforcing the next, each narrowing the outcome until the final moment was not a surprise, it was the result. This is where it becomes uncomfortable, because patterns are not unique. They repeat across different people, different environments, different lives, the same structures, producing similar outcomes. Which means this isn't just a story, it's an example, a reflection of how patterns form. And what happens when they're not broken, the difference, is awareness. Because once a pattern is seen, it can be changed, interrupted, redirected, but only if it's recognized early enough. Aaron Hernandez's story is not just about what happened, it's about what was building, what was repeating, what went unnoticed, until the pattern completed itself. And once a pattern completes, it becomes something else. A warning, a reflection, a question. How many patterns are forming right now? Unseen, unquestioned, unbroken? And how many of them are moving toward an outcome that feels inevitable, only because no one stopped it?